You would have won the lottery, but don't tell anyone, because the moment you speak your dream out loud to the wrong ears, doubt begins its quiet work. Not everyone claps when your destiny is loading. Some people don't hate you. They just can't imagine what your life is about to become. And that's okay. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. There is a season where your vision must be protected. Before success becomes visible, it is fragile. Like a seed beneath the soil, it grows best in darkness, away from trampling feet and careless opinions. When you announce your plans too early, you invite fear, comparison, and disbelief, not just from others, but from yourself. The universe listens more closely to your feelings than to your words. When you keep your dream private, your energy stays focused. Your belief grows stronger. Your mind stops seeking validation and starts creating results. You don't need approval to receive abundance. You need alignment. Many people lose their miracle not because it wasn't coming, but because they leaked it. They talked instead of trusted. They explained instead of embodied. They tried to convince others instead of staying convinced themselves. If you truly knew that the win was already yours, you wouldn't argue, justify, or announce it. You would move quietly. You would prepare. You would act differently. Winners don't make noise before the breakthrough. They let the breakthrough make the noise. So if something good is happening in your life, protect it. If a door is opening, walk through it silently. If money, opportunity, healing, or success is lining up for you, keep your mouth closed and your faith open. Because when the result finally shows up, no explanation will be needed. Silence protects success, and this truth is uncomfortable in a world that rewards noise, announcements, and constant sharing. We are taught to speak quickly, to post immediately, to tell everyone what we are planning before the plan has even learned how to breathe. But real success does not grow in crowds. It grows in quiet places, where pressure is low, where doubt has no microphone, where comparison cannot reach. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is shelter. It is the invisible wall that guards your future while it is still forming. Every meaningful win begins fragile. Before confidence becomes unshakable, it trembles. Before money becomes consistent, it arrives in pieces. Before purpose becomes clear, it feels confusing. This is the stage where most people make the mistake of talking too much. They share too early, not because they are proud, but because they are unsure. They want reassurance. They want someone to say, yes, this will work. But the moment you hand your dream to someone else for validation, you give them power over it. And not everyone handles your vision with care. Silence protects success because silence protects belief. When you keep your plans to yourself, your mind stays clean. There are no extra opinions to manage, no raised eyebrows to decode, no subtle discouragement disguised as concern. You are not fighting invisible battles created by words that were never spoken out loud. Your energy stays directed forward instead of being scattered sideways. You begin to move with calm certainty, not because you have proof, but because you have peace. There is a difference between secrecy and sacredness. Silence is not about hiding out of fear. It is about honoring what is still becoming. Just like you wouldn't expose a newborn to harsh weather, you shouldn't expose a new vision to harsh judgment. Some people don't intend to hurt your dream, but their limitations will. They will project their past failures onto your future. They will measure your potential with their own ruler and find it unrealistic. Silence saves you from absorbing beliefs that were never meant to be yours. When you are quiet about your goals, something powerful happens internally. You stop performing and start preparing. You stop talking and start listening. You notice opportunities you would have missed while explaining yourself. You become more disciplined because nobody is watching, clapping, or expecting updates. Your growth becomes honest. You work when it's boring. You persist when nobody knows. And this is where real strength is built. Silence also sharpens intuition. When there is less noise from outside, your inner voice becomes clearer. You start trusting your timing instead of rushing to match someone else's pace. You no longer feel pressured to prove progress. You allow results to mature naturally. Many people quit not because they failed, but because they announced their goals too early and felt embarrassed when progress was slow. Silence removes that pressure. It gives you room to be a beginner without apology. Think about the most powerful transformations you've witnessed. They were rarely loud at the beginning. The strongest people you know didn't warn you before they changed their lives. They disappeared for a while. They got quiet. And then one day they returned unrecognizable. That is not an accident. That is strategy. Silence gave them space to rebuild without interference. Success is sensitive to attention. When exposed too soon, it attracts envy, doubt, and resistance. Not because others are evil, but because energy responds to focus. Too many eyes on an unfinished vision can disrupt its natural flow. Silence keeps your frequency stable. It allows you to stay aligned instead of reactive. You are no longer adjusting your path based on who is watching. There is also power in mystery. When people don't know your next move, you are free. You are not boxed into expectations you casually created with your words. You can pivot without explaining. You can grow without defending. Silence gives you flexibility, and flexibility is a hidden advantage in every success story. Some wins are delayed not because they are denied, but because they need privacy to mature. Just like dough rises best when covered, your progress often needs containment, not exposure. Silence covers your effort. It keeps it warm. It lets it rise. The need to announce is often rooted in insecurity. The ability to stay silent is rooted in trust. When you trust yourself, you don't need witnesses. When you trust the process, you don't need applause. You move differently. You walk slower but stronger. You stop explaining and start embodying. Silence protects you from comparison, which is one of the fastest killers of momentum. When you tell people what you are doing, you unconsciously invite comparison. Someone is always ahead, faster, richer, more confident. Silence removes that scoreboard. You compete only with who you were yesterday. And that is a race you can actually win. In silence, discipline replaces motivation. You show up because it matters, not because someone is watching. This builds character. And character is what holds success when it finally arrives. Many people receive opportunities they are not internally prepared for. Silence gives you time to grow into the version of yourself that can sustain the win. There will be a moment when silence is no longer required. When results arrive, they announce themselves effortlessly. Success does not need an introduction. It speaks through change, through confidence, through calm, through consistency. When that moment comes, people will ask questions. They will wonder how it happened so quietly. And that is the point. Until then, protect your future. Not everyone needs access to your dreams. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your becoming. Keep your plans private. Keep your work sacred. Keep your faith strong. Silence is not the absence of progress. It is often proof that progress is happening where it matters most. Silence protects success because success, in its earliest form, is vulnerable. And what you protect, you give a chance to live. Not everyone can hold your vision, and this truth can feel painful before it feels freeing. At first, you assume the people closest to you will understand what you see, feel what you feel, and believe what you believe. You think that if the dream is clear in your heart, it will sound clear when you speak it out loud. But vision doesn't work like that. Vision is not transferred through words alone. It is shaped by experience, mindset, courage, and readiness. And not everyone around you is equipped to carry what you are carrying. Your vision was given to you because you were built to handle it. It matches your capacity, not theirs. When you share it with someone who has never dared beyond their comfort zone, they will hear risk instead of possibility. When you share it with someone who has been disappointed too many times, they will hear danger instead of destiny. They are not trying to harm you, they are trying to protect themselves. But their limitations can quietly become chains around your future if you let them. Many dreams die not from lack of effort, but from too much exposure to the wrong voices. You speak with excitement, and they respond with logic. You speak with faith, and they respond with statistics. You speak with hope, and they respond with fear disguised as advice. Slowly, subtly, you begin to question yourself, not because your vision changed, but because you allowed someone else's eyesight to define your direction. Not everyone can hold your vision, because not everyone has done the inner work required to expand their mind. Some people live comfortably inside the borders of what they already know. Your vision threatens those borders. It challenges their understanding of what is possible. And when something challenges identity, the natural response is resistance. So they minimize your dream. They joke about it. They advise you to be realistic. They tell you to wait, to settle, to be careful. What they are really saying is, don't grow faster than I can follow. There is a deep difference between support and proximity. Just because someone is close to you does not mean they are aligned with where you are going. Alignment is rare. It requires emotional maturity, self-belief, and courage. It requires the ability to celebrate someone else's growth without feeling threatened by it. And many people, even good people, are still learning how to do that. Your vision asks something of you before it asks anything of the world. It asks for belief when there is no evidence. It asks for discipline when motivation fades. It asks for patience when results delay. When you share this vision with someone who has not practiced these muscles, they will struggle to understand why you keep going. They will see obsession where there is purpose. They will see stubbornness where there is commitment. They will see foolishness where there is faith. This is why discernment matters. You don't need to stop loving people to stop explaining yourself to them. You don't need to cut everyone off. You just need to be selective about who gets access to your inner world. Your vision is not a debate topic. It is not a group project. It is a calling. And callings are often lonely before they are loud. When you stop expecting everyone to understand you, something inside you relaxes. You stop feeling rejected and start feeling grounded. You realize that misunderstanding is not a sign that you are wrong. It is often a sign that you are early. Many ideas that change lives are ridiculed in their infancy. Many paths that lead to abundance look irresponsible at the start. If everyone immediately understands your vision, it probably isn't stretching far enough. Not everyone can hold your vision because holding vision requires space. It requires emotional space, mental space, and spiritual space. Some people are already carrying too much of their own fear, regret, and responsibility. They simply don't have room for your future. And that's okay. You are not meant to be carried by everyone. You are meant to be carried by conviction. There is also a hidden strength that forms when you stop oversharing your dreams. You begin to rely less on encouragement and more on inner alignment. You learn to self-regulate doubt. You build resilience. You stop needing constant reassurance. This strengthens your relationship with yourself, and that relationship is what will sustain you when challenges come. Your vision will eventually attract the right people, but usually only after it has grown strong enough to stand. At first, it needs protection more than promotion. It needs nourishment more than applause. Silence becomes a filter. It keeps out those who would mishandle what is still fragile. Later, when results appear, the same people who doubted may suddenly understand. But by then, you will no longer need their understanding. There is wisdom in accepting that some people are meant to watch the finished story, not the draft. They don't get early access. They don't get behind-the-scenes explanations. They will see the outcome when it is complete, and that is enough. Not everyone deserves a preview of your becoming. When you internalize this truth, resentment fades. You stop feeling angry when people don't support you the way you hoped. You stop trying to convince. You stop shrinking your dream to make it easier for others to digest. You let your vision stay big, even if it stays private. You realize that approval is not a prerequisite for progress. Your vision will test your boundaries. It will force you to choose between belonging and becoming, between comfort and growth, between explaining yourself and trusting yourself. And every time you choose to protect your vision instead of exposing it to doubt, you are choosing your future over temporary validation. One day, the same people who couldn't hold your vision will ask how you did it. They will see the confidence, the stability, the results. They will assume it was easy because they didn't witness the quiet battles, the discipline, the patience. And that is fine. You were never meant to be understood by everyone at the beginning. You were meant to be obedient to what you were shown. Not everyone can hold your vision, but that does not make your vision smaller. It makes it sacred. And what is sacred must be handled with care. Energy leaks through oversharing, and most people never realize how much power they lose simply by talking too much about what they are trying to build. Words feel harmless, even productive. Sharing feels like movement. It feels like progress. But very often it is not progress at all, it is release. Every time you explain your goal, defend your plan, or announce your next move, you spend energy that was meant to fuel execution. You feel lighter for a moment, but emptier afterward, and you don't always know why. When you talk about a dream before it is real, your mind can confuse expression with achievement. You get a small emotional reward just for speaking it out loud. A nod, a compliment, a "that's amazing," and suddenly your nervous system relaxes, as if something has already been accomplished. This is dangerous. The brain loves shortcuts. It will gladly accept praise instead of progress if you let it. Over time, habit quietly replaces discipline with discussion. Energy is finite. Focus is fragile. Oversharing scatters both. Each person you tell becomes a new variable. You begin to carry their reactions with you, their doubts, their questions, their expectations. Even their excitement can become pressure. Now you are no longer just building your future, you are managing other people's emotions about your future. That is an invisible tax on your energy, and most people go broke paying it. There is also the subtle shift that happens when you start explaining instead of doing. Explanation requires justification. Justification invites doubt. You start polishing your reasons instead of strengthening your resolve. You rehearse answers to questions that don't matter yet. You argue imaginary debates in your head. All of that mental activity feels busy, but it produces nothing tangible. Your energy is being burned in circles. Oversharing exposes you to premature judgment. Not judgment at the finish line, where it can't stop you, but judgment at the starting line, where it can. A raised eyebrow, a cautious tone, a joke disguised as concern. These small signals sink into the subconscious. Even if you think you're strong, even if you laugh it off, your nervous system records it. Confidence weakens not through one big blow, but through repeated micro-doubts absorbed over time. When energy leaks, momentum slows. Momentum needs concentration. It needs repetition. It needs consistency. Oversharing interrupts all three. Every conversation pulls you out of your internal rhythm. You re-enter the world of opinions instead of staying in the world of execution. And the more ambitious the goal, the more silence it requires. Big visions demand deep focus, not constant commentary. There is also envy to consider, not always loud, not always intentional, but present. When you share something good that hasn't manifested yet, you expose it to other people's unresolved insecurities. Even people who love you may feel threatened by your growth. Not because they want you to fail, but because your movement reminds them of their stagnation. That emotional friction costs energy. You feel it as heaviness, hesitation, or sudden exhaustion with no clear cause. Silence, on the other hand, concentrates energy. When you stop talking, power gathers. Your thoughts become sharper. Your actions become cleaner. You no longer leak motivation through conversation. Everything you feel, the excitement, the fear, the hunger, gets redirected into work. This creates intensity. And intensity, when sustained, creates results. Oversharing also weakens intuition. When too many voices are involved, your inner voice gets crowded out. You start second-guessing instincts that were clear before you spoke. You adjust plans to make them sound more reasonable to others. You compromise vision for acceptance. None of this feels dramatic in the moment, but over time it pulls you off course. There is a reason disciplined people often appear private. It's not arrogance, it's protection. They understand that attention is a currency. Wherever attention goes, energy follows. If attention is constantly diverted outward, there is little left to build inward. Silence keeps attention where it belongs, on the process. Another hidden leak happens through accountability without structure. When you tell people your plans, they may check in. How's that going? Sounds supportive. But if your progress is non-linear, as most real progress is, it can create shame. You feel behind even when you're not. You feel watched when you need freedom. That emotional weight drains energy that could have been used to push forward. When you stop oversharing, something surprising happens. Your confidence becomes quieter, but stronger. You don't feel the urge to prove. You don't need to be seen trying. You become comfortable being misunderstood. That comfort is power. It allows you to take longer paths, harder paths, smarter paths, without explaining yourself at every step. Energy that is contained becomes pressure. Pressure, when directed, becomes force. This is why quiet people often shock the world later. They weren't lucky. They were focused. While others were talking about what they would do, they were storing energy. While others were collecting opinions, they were collecting skills. While others were announcing, they were becoming. Oversharing is often a sign of seeking certainty outside yourself. Silence is a sign that certainty has moved inward. You no longer need reassurance because you trust your alignment. You no longer need applause because you are committed to the outcome, not the image. This does not mean isolation or secrecy born of fear. It means intentional communication. It means choosing when words serve the process and when they sabotage it. It means understanding that some conversations feel good now but cost you later. Maturity is recognizing that cost before you pay it. As your energy stops leaking, you'll notice more stamina. Tasks feel lighter. Decisions feel clearer. Progress feels steadier. Nothing magical changed on the outside. The change happened in containment. You stop giving away the fuel meant to move you forward. When the result finally arrives, it will feel solid, not fragile, stable, not performative. And when people ask how it happened so quietly, the answer will be simple: you stop talking long enough to let the energy do its work. Faith works best without validation, and this is one of the hardest truths to accept in a world addicted to approval. From a young age, we are trained to look outward for confirmation, grades, likes, praise, recognition, agreement. All of it teaches the nervous system that belief must be endorsed before it is safe. But faith does not operate on permission. Faith activates in the absence of proof, and it grows strongest when no one else is clapping. When you seek validation, you unknowingly place your belief on trial. You invite others to judge something that was never meant to be debated. Every nod gives temporary comfort, but every hesitation plants doubt. You begin to outsource your confidence. Instead of standing rooted in your own knowing, you start leaning on reactions. This makes faith unstable, because reactions change, people change, opinions shift. What felt supported yesterday may feel questioned tomorrow. Faith without validation is quiet, and that quiet makes people uncomfortable. They expect explanations, they expect updates, they expect evidence. But faith does not explain itself. It moves first and justifies later. When you truly believe something is meant for you, you don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to rehearse reasons. You don't need to defend timelines. You simply act in alignment and let consistency speak. Validation creates dependence. Faith creates direction. When you are dependent on validation, your confidence rises and falls with feedback. A compliment energizes you. A question drains you. A delay discourages you. This emotional volatility makes long-term vision difficult to sustain. Faith, on the other hand, stabilizes you. Even when nothing seems to be working, something inside you remains steady. You keep going not because you feel encouraged, but because you feel certain. One of the most powerful shifts happens when you stop asking, "Do you think this will work?" and start asking, "Am I willing to trust this even if it doesn't make sense yet?" That question changes everything. It moves you from performance to commitment. You stop trying to look confident and start becoming committed. Commitment doesn't require witnesses. It requires resolve. Faith without validation also deepens integrity. When no one is watching, no one is applauding, no one is expecting updates, your actions become honest. You do the work because it matters, not because it will be noticed. This builds a private relationship with discipline. And discipline built in private becomes reliability in public. Many people abandon their path not because they stop believing, but because no one else believes with them. They confuse loneliness with wrongness. But solitude is often the training ground of faith. When you walk alone for a season, you learn to listen inward instead of outward. You learn to self-correct. You learn to endure uncertainty without collapsing. This is not punishment, it is preparation. Validation often delays growth. When others agree too quickly, you may rush. When others praise too early, you may settle. Faith keeps you patient. It allows ideas to mature. It allows timing to unfold naturally. You don't force outcomes to prove anything. You trust that what is meant to manifest will do so at the right moment. There is also freedom in not needing approval. You stop editing your vision to sound reasonable. You stop shrinking your dreams to make others comfortable. You allow yourself to want what you want fully. This honesty fuels momentum. When desire is no longer filtered through acceptability, it becomes powerful. Faith without validation also sharpens resilience. When setbacks happen, and they will, you don't immediately interpret them as signs to quit. You don't rush to ask others what you should do. You pause, you reflect, you adjust, you continue. Because your belief is not borrowed, it cannot be easily taken away. Many breakthroughs are delayed because people keep checking the room instead of checking their alignment. They ask for opinions at every crossroads. They crowdsource decisions that require conviction. Faith asks fewer questions outward and more questions inward. It asks, am I being honest? Am I being consistent? Am I still aligned? These questions guide progress more effectively than external reassurance ever could. When faith matures, it becomes calm. There is no urgency to announce, no anxiety to explain, no fear of misunderstanding. You are okay being early. You are okay being unseen. You are okay being doubted. This calm is not indifference, it is depth. It is the confidence of someone who knows that outcomes arrive whether or not they are believed in by others. Faith works best without validation, because validation comes after results, not before them. History is full of ideas that were doubted until they worked, paths that were questioned until they paid off, people who were ignored until they succeeded. Faith carries you through the phase where nothing external agrees with you yet. Eventually, validation may come. People may understand. They may praise your persistence. They may say they always believed in you. But by then, you won't need it. Because faith already did its work. It carried you when applause was absent. It steadied you when proof was missing. It kept you moving when logic said wait. And that is the power of faith without validation. It is belief that doesn't beg, confidence that doesn't perform, trust that doesn't require permission. When you learn to stand there, quiet, committed, unmoved, you become unstoppable. Preparation happens in private, and this truth separates wishers from builders. Most people admire the visible moment, the win, the applause, the sudden rise, and completely miss the long stretch of quiet effort that made it possible. They see the outcome and assume it appeared overnight. But nothing solid arrives suddenly. What looks instant is usually the result of long, unseen preparation done when no one was watching and no one was cheering. Private preparation is uncomfortable because it offers no immediate reward. There is no applause for discipline, no recognition for consistency, no validation for showing up again and again when progress feels slow. This is why many people avoid it. They prefer public effort, where trying is seen and intention is praised. But preparation doesn't care about intention. It responds only to repetition. When you prepare in private, you develop skills without pressure. You are free to be bad before you become good. You are free to fail without embarrassment. You are free to experiment without judgment. This freedom accelerates growth. Public performance too early forces you to defend unfinished abilities. Private preparation allows those abilities to mature naturally. There is also honesty in private work. When no one is watching, excuses lose their power. You either do the work or you don't. You can't hide behind image or explanation. This builds self-respect. You begin to trust yourself because you see proof of your own effort. That trust becomes confidence, and confidence becomes calm when pressure arrives. Preparation in private trains patience. You learn to delay gratification. You stop needing quick results to stay motivated. You understand that progress is cumulative, not dramatic. Small actions, repeated daily, create a foundation that cannot be shaken easily. This kind of preparation creates stability, not hype. Many people want the opportunity before they are ready for it. They pray for doors to open without realizing that preparation is what makes those doors sustainable. Opportunity. Thank you without preparation creates stress. Preparation without opportunity creates strength. When the opportunity finally meets preparation, it feels natural instead of overwhelming. Private preparation also shapes character. You learn how you respond when things are boring, when motivation fades, when results don't show up on time. These moments reveal who you are becoming. Discipline is built here, not in moments of excitement. Resilience is built here, not during celebration. There is a deep difference between being busy and being prepared. Busyness is loud. Preparation is quiet. Busyness seeks attention. Preparation seeks readiness. Many people stay busy to avoid facing the discomfort of real preparation. They confuse movement with progress. But preparation has direction. It is intentional. It is focused. In private preparation, you stop performing and start refining. You notice weaknesses you would have hidden in public. You correct mistakes early. You build systems instead of relying on motivation. This creates reliability. And reliability is what success rests on long term. Preparation also teaches humility. You realize how much you don't know, how much there is still to learn. This keeps arrogance away and curiosity alive. Humility allows growth. Arrogance stops it. Private preparation keeps you grounded while you grow. When you prepare in private, you also develop emotional strength. You learn how to manage doubt without outsourcing reassurance. You learn how to calm fear without needing encouragement. You learn how to self-correct instead of self-criticize. These emotional skills are just as important as technical ones. Many breakthroughs look effortless only because preparation was thorough. The confidence people admire is usually competence built quietly over time. The calm under pressure comes from repetition, not personality. The clarity in decision-making comes from hours of thinking, practicing, and refining when no one cared enough to watch. Private preparation protects you from comparison. When you are not constantly measuring yourself against others, you progress at your own pace. You focus on mastery instead of ranking. This produces depth instead of surface-level success. Depth lasts, surface fades. There is also peace in preparing quietly. You are not rushing to prove anything. You are not racing to be seen. You are building something you trust. This peace allows better decisions. Desperation distorts judgment. Preparation removes desperation. Some people fear preparing in private because it feels like being invisible. But invisibility is temporary. Readiness is permanent. When your moment comes, you won't need to scramble. You won't panic. You won't rely on luck. You will respond from muscle memory built in silence. Private preparation creates alignment. Your skills catch up to your vision. Your mindset catches up to your goals. Your habits catch up to your desires. This alignment makes success feel deserved, not accidental. You don't feel like an imposter because you know the work you did when no one was watching. The strongest people you admire likely spent long periods unnoticed. They trained when they were tired. They studied when it was boring. They practiced when progress felt invisible. They prepared for moments they could not yet see. That preparation is what made them look confident when the moment finally arrived. Preparation happens in private because privacy removes distraction. No need to explain, no need to update, no need to impress, just focused effort day after day. This is where foundations are built, and foundations determine how high something can rise. When success finally shows up, it doesn't feel like a surprise. It feels like recognition, like a natural next step. Because internally, you've already lived it through preparation. The outside world is just catching up to the work you finished long ago. Private preparation is not a delay, it is an investment. It is the unseen phase that makes the seen phase sustainable. It is the reason some people stay successful while others collapse under the weight of sudden attention. So if it feels quiet right now, if it feels unnoticed, if it feels like nothing is happening, look closer. This may be the most important phase. This may be where strength is forming. This may be where you are becoming ready for what you asked for. Preparation happens in private, and when your time comes, you will be glad you respected the silence enough to do the work there. Results speak louder than announcements, and this is the final lesson most people learn only after years of frustration. We live in a time where intention is often rewarded more than execution, where saying what you will do can bring more attention than actually doing it. But attention is not achievement, noise is not movement, and announcements, no matter how confident they sound, cannot replace outcomes. When you announce your plans, you borrow importance from the future. You try to feel the weight of success before earning it. This creates pressure without progress. Results, on the other hand, carry their own authority. They don't argue. They don't explain. They don't need context. They simply exist, and in their existence, they answer every question that announcements create. People who announce early often feel compelled to maintain an image. Once the words are out, the identity is on display. You feel watched, you feel measured, and instead of building steadily, you begin to perform. Performance drains energy because it prioritizes perception over substance. Results ignore perception. They grow whether anyone is looking or not. Announcements invite opinions. Opinions invite comparison. Comparison invites insecurity. All of this happens before you have anything solid to stand on. Results skip this entire cycle. They arrive complete. They don't ask to be believed. They are believed because they are visible. There is a quiet confidence that comes from letting results speak. It frees you from the need to convince. You don't have to defend your choices or justify your timeline. You don't have to respond to skepticism. You let time and consistency do the talking. This confidence is grounded, not loud. It is calm because it is earned. Results also protect you from self-deception. When you focus on outcomes instead of announcements, you can't hide behind intention. You see clearly what is working and what is not. This honesty sharpens your growth. You adjust based on evidence, not ego. You refine based on reality, not hope. Announcements often create a false sense of completion. Saying "I'm going to" feels like movement, but it is not. Results require discomfort. They require patience. They require persistence when no one is impressed. This is why they are rarer. Most people prefer the emotional reward of being seen trying over the delayed reward of actually succeeding. When results speak, they change conversations. People don't ask why anymore, they ask how. Doubt turns into curiosity. Skepticism turns into respect. Not because you argued better, but because reality answered for you. This shift is powerful. It removes the burden of explanation from your shoulders. Results also build inner stability. You trust yourself more because you have evidence of follow-through. You no longer rely on motivation or mood. You rely on habits that produce outcomes. This stability compounds. Each result strengthens your belief, which strengthens your action, which produces more results. There is humility in letting results speak. You allow your work to be judged by its substance, not by your words. You accept that outcomes may take time. You resist the urge to rush visibility. This humility protects you from arrogance and disappointment alike. Results speak louder because they are irreversible. Words can be forgotten. Promises can be excused. But results change circumstances. They alter options. They create new realities. Once they exist, they cannot be argued away. They become part of the environment. People who focus on results move differently. They don't waste energy on appearances. They choose actions that compound quietly. They are patient with silence because they trust accumulation. They are disciplined because they understand that consistency beats intensity over time. Announcements often age poorly. What sounded impressive at the beginning can feel embarrassing later if not fulfilled. Results age well. They grow in value. They open doors long after the effort that created them is forgotten. When you let results speak, you also free others from expectation. You don't promise, you deliver. This builds credibility. People trust you not because of what you say, but because of what consistently shows up. Credibility is slow to build and quick to lose, and results are the strongest insurance you can have. There is also peace in silence, followed by substance. You are not chasing reactions. You are not refreshing for validation. You are grounded in work. This peace improves decision-making. Calm choices create better outcomes. Better outcomes reinforce calm. Many people fear not announcing because they equate visibility with opportunity. But true opportunity responds to proof. It looks for evidence of capability. Results attract the right attention at the right time. Announcements attract attention at the wrong time. When your results arrive, they often exceed what you could have explained anyway. They communicate competence, discipline, and integrity all at once. No caption could have done that. No speech could have replaced that. So let results speak. Let them arrive quietly if they must. Let them take their time. Let them surprise people. The silence before tea. Hem will only make their voice stronger when they finally appear. In the end, the most powerful statement you can make is not what you say you will do, but what stands behind you when the talking is done. Results speak louder than announcements, and when they do, nothing else needs to be said.